Good morning, everybody. Well, we're back, and I had to explain why. The meaning of that is pretty important because I really am back. We've been running reruns of Earl Stewart on Cars for a long time. I've been ill and found some good doctors, and I had a great nurse at home. We call her Nurse Nancy. And now I'm back, healthy, raring to go. And hope we haven't lost too many of you regular listeners out there. We need to get the word out. If you're listening to the show, spread the word. Earl Stewart on Cars is now live.
Really live.
Really live.
It's February 22nd, 2025.
Right. So 8 to 10 Eastern Standard Time, we're going to be on the air this morning for 2 full hours. And we love our listener base, and we're going to find out this morning how many we won and lost, and if word can spread, we have to have you folks participate because, as I always say, you make the show, and your questions, you keep us up to date. We have YouTube, a squadron of YouTubers out there that follow Rick Kearney, and you guys are something else, and gals. You really stay on top of the auto industry, retail and wholesale, and we learn from you, and we learn from all you callers out there. So if we give the number out a little more often than normal, you can understand why. We want to be sure we have a lot of contact points. Our most popular, and this is Nancy's forte. She's the one that watches the telephone. You know what I'm talking about, the old-fashioned telephone. Personality, feelings, emotion permeate the regular telephone. It's something you can't quite get on YouTube or email or text. The telephone has warmth and personality or anger, but it's important that we have you callers jump on that phone. And that number, which you're going to hear a lot this morning because a lot of folks are new, that number is 877-960-9960. And I feel so bad for you folks out there that call the number and we got a rerun show. I don't know how we can get the word out when we are not live, but we are live right now. And if you call 877-960-9960, Nancy Stewart, my co-host, she has the laptop computer right in front of her, and the control room knows that a caller trumps everything. A caller takes top priority over anything else. So if you're not going to ask a question now, you probably don't have a question now, write it down. Write this number down, please. 877-960-9960. That's 877-960-9960. And for you folks that don't want to be live on radio, we have a text number. That text number is area code 772-497-6530. That's 772-497-6530. And almost more important, almost, is our YouTube group. We're on youtube.com/Earl on Cars. And Rick Kearney, who is our certified diagnostic master technician that can answer the questions about the high-tech cars we drive today. In fact, the low-tech. Yeah, Rick?
Sandra Wilson says, Earl, you look fabulous and you sound great.
Oh, bless your heart. Thank you very much. Well, Sandra, call some of your friends and text them and email them, and we need to get the word out. It's going to take. We were off the air for too long, and I apologize for that, but I had no choice, and now we're going to be back on for a long, long time. So let's try to spread the word that Earl on Cars is now live. Sandra, thanks very much for the compliment. Now we have mentioned the YouTube, youtube.com/Earl on Cars. Nancy just waved at me.
Yeah, we, good morning, everyone. It's me, Nancy Stewart.
I know you.
We are so happy to be back. I have to say that first. Wow, maybe this is like riding a bicycle. Anyway, we're happy to be here. And first and foremost, I have to thank everyone, every one of you, for all of your cards, all of your phone calls, text messages, everything. It was just overwhelming, and we just didn't realize what an audience we have. And we're so thankful for you, so thankful you make the show, as Earl said. And we're going to move fast this morning, be in light of the fact that we've been out for 2 months and we've got a bunch of calls backed up. We've got a whole lot to get to, a lot of information. Wow, a lot has happened in the auto industry. Things are changing. Should I say tariffs? Okay, we'll get into all that. Amazon, everything we're going to talk about. But first and foremost, let's get to our callers. That number is 877-960-9960. Don't forget, you can text us if you're a little bashful, and you can save that number for the Mystery Shopping Report, 772-497-6530. And yes, we do have a Mystery Shopping Report. So, Rick, did you want to say something?
No.
Okay.
We just have so many folks on YouTube welcoming us back, and on the Google Voice text messages. Everybody just seems happy we're back, and I got to tell you, I'm glad we're back.
I know you are.
Hey, one thing I want to jump in with, Jonathan told us our goal today is to get to 100 live viewers on our YouTube channels. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but it is, because it represents, a peak, kind of really. But people come and go. But we'd like to get it up to that. So to our faithful listeners, if you can maybe text the link to your friends. I don't think we've ever solicited a help to promote the show, but text your friends and say, hey, click on this and watch this for a few minutes, see if you like it.
Great ideas.
And we can hit our goal. How's that, Jonathan? Okay.
Very encouraging.
Yeah.
Okay, folks, we're going to get to our first caller, and that is going to be Rick. And Rick is calling us from Boca Raton. Good morning, Rick.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm a long-time listener and first caller. I'm calling with some general question about general information. I'm really impressed with your philosophy about dealerships, and I've probably been subject to the rip-off of the typical bait-and-switch guys for many years over cars. But I'm interested in buying a hybrid. I've never bought one before, and I've had Toyotas for a very long time, 4Runners and Highlanders and others, Avalons. But I wanted to ask you what you would recommend in trying to shop for a hybrid, and what I should be looking for, and maybe some advice on general philosophical outlooks on that subject.
Yeah, there's a lot of information out there for you, but let's start with Rick.
Well, I got to admit, this is one area of my life that I am prejudiced. I am a carist. I have loyalty to Toyota simply because I've worked on the brand for 30 years now, and Toyota hybrids, when they first hit the shores, the batteries had some issues, and for about the first 8 or 10 years, I would have said the lifespan of a hybrid battery was about 150,000 miles at the most. Now, that has tripled. My estimate on a hybrid battery on the newer cars coming out has reached the point that I think hybrids will outlast most normal internal combustion cars. And this is going for brands across the board, all the brands.
Rick, let me interrupt you just
Absolutely.
for a minute. And because we do own a Toyota dealership, and because we don't want people to get the idea that we're doing an infomercial, we're very hesitant to recommend Toyotas over other cars. All the manufacturers out there, virtually all of them, make some very, very good vehicles. And the only way that we can recommend with good conscience is to take an independent source that we look at very, very highly, almost impeccable as the Consumer Reports. So I'm going to let Rick continue to tell you how much he loves Toyota hybrids. But before I do that, Rick, I want to, the Rick is on the telephone here, get a Consumer Reports. Consumer Reports, annual auto issue, or even some of the other issues, or online, go to Consumer Reports, and they have their ranking of cars by type. So you can go to Consumer Reports. They will tell you the highest rated hybrid sedan,
Yeah,
compact.
and we can tell you that they rotate in and out. You know, sometimes Toyota is up there, and sometimes other manufacturers are up there.
Yeah.
From a shopping and I guess a sales perspective, they're becoming more and more common now. That was Toyota's strategy that I think we all questioned in the beginning when they didn't jump in like wholeheartedly with the battery EVs, yeah, so it's really kind of they're very normal now, and like for example with Toyota, which I'm just more familiar with, a lot of the popular lines are going to be offered in a gas version. They're all just hybrid, so that's just kind of the way it's going before everything becomes all EV. So I think it's a really natural thing, and they've also been around for a long time.
And just
Absolutely.
for your information, because there's too much to go into detail, but Consumer Reports considers Subaru, all
good.
told, as a smaller manufacturer, and you don't see as many Subarus on the road by a long shot as you see Hondas and Toyotas. But Subaru builds an amazing vehicle. Safety, performance, maintenance cost. If I were a buyer rather than a dealer today, the first car I would look at and familiarize myself with would be Subaru.
They also have there's a coolness factor too.
Yeah.
They're kind of considered a little bit like they're not just your standard kid carriers. It's your a little bit not off-roadsy, but they're all-wheel drive. But it's kind of got that little bit more rugged appeal.
And
They
Rick,
also have
if you're,
some.
if you're thinking about purchasing a car sometime soon, Rick, Stu, myself, Earl, we have a lot of information, and I'm gonna kind of hop on the bandwagon here with what Rick said about Toyota. And if you're looking for excellent fuel economy, 57 miles per gallon combined, reliable and well known. This hybrid is amazing, and that's the Toyota Prius that in the very beginning came out pretty strong. And as Rick alluded to, the battery life is much longer now. So, Rick, you've got a lot of choices. Earl mentioned Consumer Report. I'm going to send you to ChatGPT. There are so many ways of getting information before you make a decision, because this is a big decision. It's the same as purchasing a home. So you want to, as you are doing, checking this out early. Rick?
And remember also that most of the hybrid batteries and the hybrid components are being produced by the same company for all brands across the board. There's only a few companies making those components, and then all the different brands use them. One advantage to Subaru I know is it seems like every one of their cars ranks at the very top for safety factors. And that's something I would definitely take advantage of. And like Earl says, right, he's over here right now leafing through what we call our Bible, which is the Consumer Reports. And they, unlike me, they are totally unbiased. They will give you an honest opinion. But I honestly, for hybrids, I don't think you can go wrong. I would, however, suggest also Google a term called hypermiling and kind of read up a little bit, watch some of the videos on what folks say about hypermiling. There are some people out there that they take the EPA rated mileage of these cars, which we all know if it says 60, you're going to get 50 for the most part. These guys take it as a challenge, and they will routinely figure out how to get these cars to 80 miles per gallon just by changing driving habits. And in a hybrid, you can do that so easily. You'd be amazed at how much fun it can be driving a car just by challenging yourself for things like that.
Rick, can we give you enough information to get started?
I didn't get that.
I think that's a great start. I just was really impressed, as I said, on your philosophy of dealerships and so forth, which drew me to become a regular listener. So, and I've been driving a Toyota for a very, very long time. When I was very much younger, I'm an old guy now, but when I was much younger, a car mechanic told me, and I was asking about brands of cars, he said, buy a Honda or a Toyota because you can get in it brand new, drive it from Florida to California without stopping and never have a breakdown because they're so reliable.
Yeah.
And so I've been a Toyota guy for a long time.
That Honda Accord is also really highly rated, and you talk about miles per gallon. It's even better, than the Prius at 44 to 51 miles per gallon. And then, of course, you have your choice of the RAV4, which in popularity, it's taken. I think it still has moved into the slot. And it is number one. Camry has dropped to number 2.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, definitely. Rick, have we?
Very helpful. You've been very helpful. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for calling, Rick. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick. Spread the word. We're back. We're live. Have a great weekend. The number here is 877-960-9960. You can also text us at 772-497-6530. We're going to go to our next caller, and that is our ever faithful Howard. And I hope that Howard is right here in, shall we say, well, kind of sunny Florida. It's much better than the Northeast.
I'm
Welcome.
Here. Welcome back.
Hey, Howard.
Thanks, Howard.
Thank you.
Pleasure talking to you. I'm not going to ask you the politics behind why you got off the air. That's not important. The important thing is you're back. A couple of questions I have for Rick. Rick, whenever I got my oil changed in your dealership, the oil is never up on the top line. It's always between the two lines. And it's not only you. Before I was using Toyota many years ago, the same thing happened. Now my question is, should that oil, when oil is changed, should it be on the top line, or is it okay to be in the middle between the two lines?
As long as it's in that range between the two lines, it's safe, but it should always be a little closer to the top line. We try to teach the younger techs, to top it off, give it that little extra couple of tenths. But with the new modern systems, they've got these computerized guns that I call it a gun. It's just an oil pumper, but it pumps a prescribed amount of oil into the car. And to try to go back and get that reprogrammed to add that additional, we teach them little tricks like keep an extra jug and pump a little extra in there, so that way you can do that little top off. But yeah, as long as that oil is near that top line, you're good. And we try to discourage them from getting too crazy because you don't want it to be over the line. If the oil gets over a little too full, then the moving parts actually encounter that liquid oil down in the pan because of the way the engines are so compact now. And that can actually create foaming, and it starts to drag that liquid oil around, and that can cause problems too. So there's a lot of different schools of thought, but like I say, as long as it's in that safe range between the two lines, then you're fine.
Yeah, an old mechanic told me it's better that if it's above the line, it's bad. If it's a little below the line, it's not as bad, but you should put the extra oil in there.
Yeah.
The other question, my friend has a Subaru, and he has much more maintenance than the Toyota. And they have to add more fluids, different the differential and things. So he's spending a lot more money on his Subaru to get the specific things that he has to do than I have with my Toyota. I wonder, can you explain why the Subaru has many more things that you have to do when you send it to the dealer?
Yeah, the number one reason on that is that all Subarus now are all-wheel drive. So if you've got a car that has just front-wheel drive, then you have a transaxle, which is the engine, or the transmission, and the differential is all in one unit and using one source of fluid for the whole thing. But when you've got an all-wheel drive, now you have a transfer case as well as a rear differential, two more sources of fluid, and that means two more things that have to be maintained. Yes, Stu.
Does that apply to even like we have in the Toyota lineup some all-wheel drive vehicles? Is that considered? Is there extra maintenance? I know it's not that common, but
For the differentials, yes. If there, say a truck that has 4-wheel drive, you have the front differential and the transfer case along with the transmission and the rear differential. So
about
it
the
just
Camry?
basically means more moving parts, means a little more maintenance. However,
what about like the Camry or Prius that have come out?
well, now those are hybrid, and because they're hybrid, they use electric motors to turn the wheels.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it doesn't use right. You don't have the additional
transaxle.
parts, but it comes down to the additional moving parts. But like I say, one advantage to Subaru is the all-wheel drive systems that they have are a lot safer to drive actually. And I even like I say, as prejudiced as I am towards Toyota, hats off to Subaru. They are probably a much safer car to drive on the road, especially when you get conditions like we do with all the rain we get, sand on the road, up north with the snow and ice. Subaru's got the edge on us on that.
Yeah, my friend bought the Subaru because of the up north because of the snow and ice. That's
Yep.
why I bought the Subaru. Right. Thank you for your information, and I won't hold you up. You're very busy today. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Howard.
Howard.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Howard. Our number, 877-960-9960. And you can also text us at 772-497-6530. Now back
Well, I'm going
to
to do
the
a commercial for
recovering car
Toyota.
dealer.
I'm going to do a commercial for Toyota. Here's a picture of my Toyota truck in the ice and snow, and it did great. And it was like my first real experience doing that. Can you see that?
Where did you go?
Upstate New York.
With the doggies.
He went to Woodstock.
I'm going to hold this up so if Jonathan, if you can run to our camera, maybe they'll be able to see that one.
That was just a dusting of snow, but I drove through one of those winter storms, and that was something else. And having four-wheel drive made me feel a lot more comfortable.
How bad was the winter storm?
It was pretty bad. I mean, we were getting ice and then rain and then snow and then ice, rain, and snow all together. And there was a lot of cars that were off on the side of the road. You know, a lot more than we see here when it's raining.
Yeah.
And a lot of big semi-tractor trailers jackknifed off the road.
It's amazing how you can get used to driving in.
Well, that's where you're from, so.
Inclement conditions.
Yeah.
And it was just SOP.
Yeah, normal
to get on.
for you guys, yeah.
Yeah, get on the road. Nobody looked out the window and said, "Oh God, it
My
rained."
big- my
oh
biggest-
no, it's ice. Oh no, it's
my
snow.
tip is to look for the local license plates and drive their speed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Follow
Just
them.
whatever they're doing, maintain. That's where you should be.
Yep.
Okay. We are going to give that, I'm going to give that number out again, 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. We're going to stay with the phones, and if you didn't hear, we are back, we are live, and we are enjoying your company. We're going to go to Ellen, and she's calling us from Pompano Beach. Welcome.
Hi. Anyway, glad to hear you back. I received a message on Facebook that you were coming back today.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm the lady that had a rust on the underbody of my brand new car, my 2025 hybrid Camry that I gotten from Al Hendrickson. Well, they told me that these are the things that they told me. They weren't going to help me. That I should drive at least 10 miles every day, wash the underbody about every day, stay away from salt air, and don't park near salt air. Now, why don't they put this in the manual?
Are you moving? Are you going to leave
I
this?
actually am considering moving because my life is revolving around the car.
Exactly.
I mean,
I'm not laughing.
No, that's
at you.
probably one of the most. You're absolutely right. Living in South Florida is a unique experience. I mean, I don't care whether you got a lawnmower, a car, a golf cart, anything with metal on it. If you live in South Florida near the ocean, you don't have to be on the ocean, but the air, the salt particles are in the air. And we see cars because our dealership is, you can see the ocean from our dealership if you go up to the roof. and the salt permeates anything within a few miles of the coastline. And why they don't put it in the owner's manual, I think, probably because they probably should, but they don't.
Yeah, or at least put a like a little inset for a certain region. Like maybe the southeast region would be a good.
Well, they should
be a good
extend the
idea.
warranty, for
Yeah,
people
just
that
stick
live
it
in
on the you put it on the sticker on the car. Watch out.
Yeah.
I mean, they know to put it in the warranty that they won't anything but salt. They're not responsible for it. Anyway,
Yeah.
well, corporate Toyota came down to Al Hendrickson to inspect my car, and they surprisingly told me that some brands and models are more susceptible to rust. So it made me think if I got a different model or brand, I might not be having this issue.
Oh, goodness.
Well, you have to compliment the guy on his being
Honest to
candid,
goodness.
because I mean,
I'm surprised he said brand.
I know.
Yeah, I
was
could
shocked
understand
that he-
model. Like he'd say, yeah, maybe with a truck that's designed to experience that kind of those conditions.
if word gets back to headquarters that he suggests you maybe buy a Subaru next
I was
time.
about to just
Yeah.
yuck it up with Rick and say, what's his name now? But we'll just keep that quiet.
Ellen, I'd like to see some proof. I'd like to see that
Yeah,
statement
I-
validated.
Yeah, I was surprised. But anyway, so they said that I should try to appeal it to the NCDS, the National Center for Dispute Settlement, and CDSP, the California Dispute Settlement Program. Now, I mean, I figure I have nothing to lose, but I don't know. Is it a waste of time or?
I think you should run up the ladder, and then sometimes, and I don't know what the disposition of the service manager that you've worked with at Al Hendrickson. If you get the feeling that he's on your side and he's trying to advocate for you to the Toyota people, at least trying to negotiate something for you. Do you get the feeling that's happening?
No.
Okay. Can
Let's do
you?
it.
I mean, they're nice
Can you
and
contact?
everything,
There's a problem though. See, when things are turned down at other dealerships, it's getting it overturned is almost it started there, and they don't really do that. But
Ellen, did you buy your last car from Al Hendrickson? How many have you bought?
2.
Well, you come under a good customer. That's a loyal
Well,
customer.
Yeah.
Was the word goodwill used in any conversations with Toyota or with the service department managers at Al Hendrickson? That's a separate category that a lot of people don't know about.
Okay. Well, the thing is, the first one was a brand new car, and the same thing happened, and they replaced it with me adding some money, of course, to the second car.
Yeah.
So the second car, I guess they figure they're not going to. I mean, I'm in touch with the Larry, the owner of all the franchises or whatever, dealerships. So I may write him again.
Larry Morgan.
Larry Morgan, yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's good.
Thanks to you. You gave me the number and
You
everything.
made progress, Ellen, for sure. Definitely. You're a fighter.
Yeah,
Well, I also figured, let me at least, since some of those things aren't in the manual, at least your listeners can,
Yeah.
let them know. that they
Exactly.
need to do-
You'd be surprised how many people are listening right now.
Oh, I'm sure.
That
Yeah.
information, is
Yeah.
is really well deserved for our audience. Instead of having this problem like you have that you've had for a while. Ellen, it was great talking to you. I'm so glad you're back again. And do you have
Yes,
anything
I'm glad
else?
you are back. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Do you have anything else to ask before we go?
No, I guess it's just basically, you you said that it might be a waste of, basically maybe nothing's going to happen, but I'll try, to appeal.
Yeah, definitely. I would give it the old, college try. Ellen, it was a pleasure. Have a great weekend. Good luck.
Thank
And
you.
please give us a call. Let us know what the progress is like with Larry Morgan.
Okay, thank
Alrighty.
you.
That number again is 877-960-9960. You can text us at 772-497-6530. And if you're wondering about the mystery shopping report, yes, we are going to have a mystery shopping report. We're going to kind of go back in time and refresh your memory about Treasure Coast Toyota. I believe the last mystery shop that we did was with Amazon Auto. So that was quite some time ago, it seems. So you can stay tuned for that, too. Let's go to Barry. He's calling from Tampa. Good morning. Good morning, Barry.
Morning, and welcome back, everybody.
Thank you.
My three-part question is about the allocation system that Toyota and maybe other brands use to supply their dealers with vehicles. So suppose I build my perfect car on Toyota's website, and then I discover that no dealer within 500 miles has it in their inventory. What are the chances that a dealer can obtain such a car in their upcoming factory allocations, and does the dealership have a say, or does it have to take what it gets from the factory? That's part one, and maybe I'll pause.
Okay, I can answer that. If you find something that if you can see you've built a vehicle online that does not appear in any inventory, the first thing I do, I don't know if you can expand beyond 500 miles. Where does that take you? If you get 500 miles, are you out of Southeast?
Barely out of Florida.
Barely out of Florida. I'm saying those vehicles that you will see on any dealership down here, as part of the Southeast Toyota distributorship. So you can look, there's 5 Southeast states that you could expand the range to if you're willing to do that. But if you don't see it anywhere within 500 miles, the probability is that it's not a commonly built vehicle with the packages that you selected. Okay, and you've probably already figured that part out. So, but I'm saying there is a chance if you expanded the search area. But if you go to a dealership with the built vehicle and you say, this is what I want to get, the first thing I think that would happen is there could be comparable packages, I'm saying with the same equipment, that they could help you reconfigure to make it more accessible. They'll find out why. Like, what is the reason? What's stopping this from being possible for you here in the normal distribution system? If it just turns out that the region doesn't get these, there is a system called the Dealer Pipeline Management System, and there's another system called a preferencing system. Okay, the preferencing system allows you to put your priority on the vehicles that you want to get for stock and for customers, but it only draws from the available pool of vehicles. So that doesn't help you. So a dealer would have to do something called a DPMS, and that's the Dealer Pipeline Management System. And it's really a request, and it goes up to TMNA, which is the Toyota National Company, and it is a crapshoot, and there's no guarantee. There isn't a way to have them individually build a vehicle because it's just a big system of cars, and if that's the case, you could wait, and you might wait a very long time, and you might not ever get it.
I mean, we're talking up to a year,
or beyond that. I know there are people, because the vehicle is not going to get built, and no one in the system is ever looking at your request as an order. It can't happen like that. So the best bet is to, either look at alternatives, get it as close to the build that you can, or look at another manufacturer that has a vehicle that has a package that you want. I ran into the same thing. I want that truck that we just showed the picture of. I wanted to tow a travel trailer, a camping trailer, and I got it built as close as I can, but I can't get it with the towing mirrors, which was really frustrating. To get the towing mirrors, I would have to sacrifice something else. So I experienced firsthand the frustration that everybody does. You can't get what you want.
Exactly.
Right. So I gave up the towing mirrors, and fortunately, the technology within the vehicle with cameras and the towing assist stuff, I found out I didn't need it, and so it turned out to be okay. But in some cases, some people just leave Toyota. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, we got 5 callers backed up.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I know you had a second part. I'm going to finish.
Boy, that was great information, Stu.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I just one other quick thing. Suppose then you get through the Toyota part, and then Southeast Toyota gets involved and they want to add their stuff on there, can you
Yes,
short circuit that before they
yes,
do that?
you can, but you have to speak to whoever you're talking to at the dealership, because you're talking about a car it's never going to hit a lot. The day it hits a lot is the day that you're going to take it. So insist on it, because you can know all the port accessories are optional. And they'll tell you that it comes in automatically, but the reason it comes in automatically is because they've checked a box on their computer that says, I want this. If they uncheck the box, they uncheck the toy guard box, please, and uncheck the whatever accessory is on their box before it gets to the port, before it gets work ordered. And that's how you get around that. You say, before this thing's work ordered, I don't want anything on it except for the Toyota factory stuff. You got that?
Yeah, Barry, we got to run now. We got
right.
stacked up
Thanks
on the
so much.
line.
That was great.
Thank you.
You got it.
Thanks for the call. Give us a call again. Our number here is 877-960-9960. You can also text us at 772-497-6530. And I forgot to mention this earlier, your anonymous feedback. YourAnonymousFeedback.com.
We got a couple.
Take advantage of it, and Stu will entertain you with what he's received. And also, Rick's going to be up, and he'll give some attention to YouTube. So we'll go back to the phones quickly, and everyone that's holding, please be patient. We're going to go to our old favorite here, and he's a regular, and he calls us from Jupiter Farms. That's Frank. Good morning, Frank.
Well, good morning to you all.
Hey, Frank.
Hey, Frank.
Hey, welcome back, Stu. I know no one's going to say that to you this morning, but I will.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anyway, real quick, as you know, the wife had a Lexus RX 350 she bought at Palm Beach back in 2007. She would take it to your dealership, see Randy. She's real happy. Unfortunately, I traded it in for an Audi SQ5 3 years ago, which is a nice car. She likes it. She is missing her Lexus. And so we actually went by up in, I'm trying to think of where it is now, Fort Pierce. Just stopped in there, and it was interesting. Came to the door. We're in my Mercedes. I have a Lunar Blue E350 at the time. And this gentleman opened the door for us, a black gentleman, and he was very polite. Who are you here to see? And I told him the salesman we were looking for. And I said I needed a restroom, so he took me back, showed me where the restroom was. He made a cup of coffee for my wife. And, I mean, I go, wow, what a greeter. I said, you don't find anyone like this at Walmart, you know. Well, anyway, they had a beautiful 500 on the showroom floor. And then they told me about an ES350 they had certified used with only 600 miles. I said, oh, that got my attention. Anyway, it was Iridium, and it had a very nice Palomino interior. But anyway, as it turns out, the gentleman knows you, Earl. I guess he owns that Lexus dealership. And as everyone up there, they have just high regard for you and your family.
Sandy.
Mr.
Yeah,
Woods.
Exactly. There you go, Mr. Woods. So anyway, we were really tempted. I was really tempted. I put the ES350 Lexus next to my E350 Mercedes. They almost looked identical. They were, shape and size. And anyway, but I decided to think about it. So then I started making some calls down to JM up in Orlando, Winter Park, and eventually we went to Palm Beach, Lexus, on a Sunday afternoon, Super Bowl Sunday it was, and they had what I really liked in there. They had the mica or midnight mica blue with the Palomino interior with the brown walnut trim.
Pretty.
The car was gorgeous. It was unbelievable. It looked just like my Mercedes. Unfortunately, a couple of weeks ago I had gotten new tires on the Mercedes. So here I got, $1,500 of cars on the Mercedes with 200 miles, and the trade-in they were giving me on my Mercedes was like $3,000. I go, that's crazy. Huh. Anyway, so we started to leave, and a gentleman by the name of Derek. I don't know if you know Derek. He's been there 20 years. He's like the sales manager. And he says, "What can we do to, have you buy that car today?" I said, "Well, I need more for my trade-in, and I don't want to pay a sticker." Because most every place is sticker. I feel like you're a mystery shopper, people going out there and seeing all the different things. So anyway, he said, "What if we take $5,000 off the sticker?" I go, "Really?" Yeah, I said, "You got my attention."
Which sticker?
The real one on the window. I go, "Yeah," because I've seen all this toys and different things. And then he'll give me another 1,000 more for a trade. And I said, well, you got my attention, but I got to think about it and go home and sleep on it. So we went back there on Monday, late evening, and the car was all ready. And we went ahead. Now I tell people I now have a new Toyota, a high-end Toyota.
You came back. It's under the hood.
But yeah, it's like I said, it's really good. But it made me think because we just took the Audi back to Stewart, where you mystery shopped a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And I had the oil change done, and I noticed that you're right. I like that caller. The oil is not up to the full mark. One, there's no dipstick in that car. You got to look through the computer, but it's in the middle. And so Anne-Marie, because we were up there at the air show last year, and the light comes on, low oil, and I go, oh, you got to be kidding me.
This is on the 500?
No, on the Audi SQ5.
Okay.
So anyway,
Frank, we got 5 callers waiting. So
okay.
What's
We'll let you go. Yeah.
What?
Let me see. There's real quick. You got the lemon law on cars.
Yeah.
Yes,
Is there
indeed.
anything you know about boats? My son-in-law bought a brand new Boston Whaler for about $150,000. It's just a piece of junk.
Let me. I'll look that up, and then I'll keep listening. I'm going to give you the answer.
Okay.
Break out another 1,000.
There you go.
Hey, Frank,
Anyway.
great hearing from you. I'm really glad that you tuned in, and I'd like for you to spread the word that we are live, and we are back.
I've been telling the dealerships. I said, listen to Earl Stewart. I said, you guys are unbelievable, and even all your competition thinks the world of you, but they try and cut you down somehow. Yeah, you high dealer fees.
Well,
You high dealer fees there.
Very
Have a great-
smart, very political of them.
Have a great weekend, Frank. I'm going to get to the next 6 callers. Have a great weekend.
Oh, wow.
Thanks for calling.
Yeah.
We're going to go to Laurel. She is calling us from Stewart, and she's a first-time caller. Good morning, Laurel.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Hi.
You're a first-time caller, and I want to let you know that for first-time female callers, we offer $50 if you stay on the line and give Jeremy in the control room your information. That's your contact
Awesome.
information. He'll pass it to me, and I'll send you out that check. What can we do
Thank
for
you
you
so
this
much.
morning? You're welcome.
Hi. Well, my husband listens to your show regularly, and he suggested that I call. I have a 2020 Jeep Grand Cherokee 6-cylinder, and I'm having a problem with the starter, and it hasn't been accurately diagnosed, and I don't really know what to do or where to turn. So what happens is when I go to start the car, it makes the noise like it's trying to turn over, but I have to take my finger off of the button and my foot off the brake, and when I do that, it stops, and then it'll start. Many times it starts right up, but like every maybe 6th, 8th time, it will do that where it just doesn't turn over, and I have to try to restart it again, and it starts right up next time. So I had taken it into Jeep to be diagnosed, and my dog had put his paw repetitively on the door and broke the lock, so the door on the passenger side wasn't working. So when they diagnosed it, they said it wasn't starting because there was a problem with a switch in the door, and they fixed that door lock. And, of course, I took the car, and, the next day it was doing the same thing. So anyways, I took it in one more time, and now they're telling me that they think it's the fuel pump, but I'm paranoid that that may not be the issue, and I just don't know what, you would suggest or advise.
Did you say that was a Cherokee you were driving?
Yes, it's
Jeep.
a 2020.
2020 Jeep Cherokee. What do you
Grand
think?
Cherokee.
What do you
Your
think,
first
Rick?
mistake right there.
Yeah, the door lock switch, they were kind of grasping at straws, I think there. Now, granted, the electrical systems on cars, if one system gets a weird short, it can cause other systems to act funny. That I have seen. But
Okay.
a broken door lock switch generally would not be able to affect the actual engine starting. Now, from what you're describing, I think I'm hearing that the engine is spinning, so it's cranking over, but the engine is not actually starting, which means that
That's
it's either missing the fuel or the spark, and that's generally computer controlled. So it's possible the fuel pump has what's happened is the fuel pump is leaking the pressure back to the tank on occasion, so that when you try to crank it, it has to pump that fuel and recharge the system, get that pressure back up before it has enough fuel pressure that the injectors will spray properly and the engine will start. My advice really on this one, because it's obviously out of warranty, I would wait a little while and kind of keep track in your mind or a notebook or something how often it's occurring. And if it begins to occur more often, especially if it occurs immediately after the car has been sitting for like 6 or 7 hours, and that's the only time that it occurs is that first time after it's been sitting a while, then yeah, the fuel pump would be much more of a suspect to me. Otherwise, I'd be concerned that it's possible that the engine immobilizer, the computer, is not detecting the right signals to tell the engine, okay, I know you're cranking over, I know you're spinning, but I'm not going to give you fuel or spark until I have authorization that this is the right key starting the car. That would be my second choice. But like I say, my first one, I would be looking at the fuel pump. But like I say, keep a little notebook and keep track of that. And if it does start to get worse, or if you verify that it's only after the car has been sitting for a while, take that in and tell them, look, it occurred this date and time, this date and time, this date and time, and it had been sitting for several hours each time. And that will give the mechanic, basically, it gives him a background, an idea of, yes, let the car sit for a while with a fuel pump pressure tester on it and see if it's dropping that pressure back again.
Great.
Okay.
And Laura, some of my sources tell me that, did you say that when you turned over, when you started the Cherokee, that it just made a clicking sound or a grinding sound?
No, it's almost like the sound that it makes when it's out of gas. Like it goes, and it just never actually starts. So it's not the clicking noise.
And I was reading, about a faulty starter and the signs. Rick, one of the signs would be a fuse, isn't it?
Yeah, but if the fuse is blown, then nothing's going to happen. And if the starter itself were bad,
point.
then the engine wouldn't spin. See, the starter motor, all it really does is make the engine spin over. And once it's spinning at a certain speed, then the computer will activate the fuel and spark going into the cylinders to actually create that combustion. And George on YouTube here says he wondered if they had checked for codes in the engine computer, the power control module. I'm sure they checked that first, because Chryslers are actually pretty easy to test, but hopefully they did look for that. But unfortunately, a fuel starvation like that generally does not set codes. I've learned that just about every manufacturer, for some reason, they don't have a code that can trigger if you're not getting that fuel spray into the cylinder. But yeah, again, my first thought here for what I'm hearing described is I'd be looking at that fuel pump.
Fuel pump.
Yeah.
Okay.
Laura, do you have any other questions?
No, thank you so much. You've been a big help, and my husband really enjoys your show, so thank you so much.
Well, we're very thankful that your husband listens to the show, but we're even more thankful now that he, shared with you that, maybe you should call the show, because
Absolutely.
we want to hear from the ladies, and this platform that we continue to build here, pretty important for the ladies. And I ask you to just spread the word and let everyone know that they too can give a call. And it's a win-win situation. $50, everyone today can use an extra $50.
For sure.
Okay.
Well, it's great to be able to get an objective opinion, especially when you're a woman. So thank you so much.
Isn't that the truth? That's what's really important, and that's where we are here as far as supporting the female audience. Give us a call again, Laurel.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm going to give that number out again if you didn't jot it down, 877-960-9960. Or you can text us at 772-497-6530, youranonymousfeedback.com. And don't forget, that's real important too. We're going to go to our favorite, John from Palm City, that stayed in touch with us. The letters, the cards, the thank yous. John and his family, they're phenomenal, and they have been with us for a long, long time. Good morning, John. We're so glad
Good morning.
to be here
Welcome
live.
back. Welcome back to everybody.
Thank
I just
you.
want to be fast. I know a lot of calls. Within the next 2 months, snowbirds are preparing to leave, and ones that leave their cars here. And I just want to ask an important question to Rick. There's an additive that you can put in the tank, and the gasoline doesn't go bad. It's called Stable. Does Rick recommend that? I know he doesn't care for additives to the automobile. What does he know about that?
No, I do not. Simply for the reason that if you're going to leave the car sit for more than a month, you should have a person available that can run this car and use up a little bit of that gasoline.
Someone you trust.
Yeah, Stay-Bill is good if you're storing an engine with gasoline for 6 or 8 months. But for a car to sit for that long, it's more than just the gas in the tank and the engine itself. You need to get that car out and have a little exercise.
What if you have no friends?
Well, you don't have much of a life.
Right. Then what do you do about
I'm
the car
sorry,
when you're
Stu.
gone?
I know with you,
Right.
it's.
I'm thinking about what's going to happen to me when I become a snowbird.
Yeah. Well, oh boy. So you're going to go north in the winter? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
No. It's too hot down here. But continue.
No, it's up to the idea that keeping the battery charged and keeping the fuel good is good, but you've also got all the seals on the engine. Those dry out from sitting. Your brakes will start to rust and they will seize in place, and that creates hassles when you come back and first start to drive the car again. Your tires get flat spots. Cars need exercise, and you really need at least once a month, get the car out for 15, 20, 30 minutes driving time just to keep things exercised.
Pretty soon, with all cars become autonomous, you won't even have to worry about that. You just leave it in the garage and program it so that every week the car goes out by itself, takes a drive,
goes
and
down
comes
the
back.
beeline, comes back.
Yeah, sure.
Well, for those that don't have anybody to start it up for them and they leave it like 6 months or more, it's an important point to tell you that the flat spot on tires, it's a recommendation to put old rugs underneath the four tires or old car mats, and it helps on the flat spots when you start the car up again after 6 months. And also the battery tender, that people mix that up. That's not a triple charger. Battery tender stays on 24 hours a day. It doesn't hurt anything, and it gives the battery a shot when it needs it. It has a red and a green light on it. So don't mix the two up. Another thing is it's not a bad idea to have glue traps around the car. You buy it at Home Depot or Lowe's, and just in case, especially on an older car, that if any rodents get caught in there, they will not eat the wires on the car.
Surround it with rat traps and ant traps and road traps. Just make a circle around that car.
Right. And would it be a good idea, the last tank of gas that you put in it, to get a non-ethanol gas? What does Rick think about that?
It certainly can't hurt. It is what they call the Rec 90, or the non-ethanol gas, is a bit more expensive. However, I would also make sure if you're going to store the car, store it with a full tank of fuel, because that way you have less airspace, less chance for corrosion, and less fuel evaporation.
Okay, one other fast thing, too. Nobody realizes it. If there's a refrigerator in that garage or a freezer, disconnect it. Do not have it running. Why? The ozone in the room has a tendency to dry all rubber parts on the automobile. I guess a lot of people don't know that, but that's a fact, including the tires and rubber hoses. So make sure the refrigerator is not running in that garage where the car is kept like for 6 months.
Wow.
But John,
that's unique information.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That is great information.
Yeah.
We didn't know it, but John, that's solving the problem by disconnecting the refrigerator.
Yes,
now, keep in mind, there's a refrigerator in the garage for a reason.
Right. It's at any time, it's not a good idea.
And it's
because
filled with
the car
food.
that sits and not get used, the ozone from the refrigerator has a tendency to dry rubber.
Yeah, take
So it
everything
won't hold
out
any
of the
more.
fridge before you do that.
That's silly. Hey, John, let me ask you this. Over a period of what time will I find the deterioration that has taken place?
Doesn't take very long, especially if a car sits 5 or 6 months.
Interesting.
So,
well,
and
John, as
collector
usual.
cars,
Yeah.
yes, and any collector garages, that's a number one thing people know, and they avoid leaving that refrigerator in that room.
One more thing to think about.
Yeah.
Okay, John.
Welcome back, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
It was great
Okay.
talking to you. Have a great weekend. 877-960-9960, and you can text us at 772-497-6530. And we're going to stay with the phones because, boy, I'll tell you what, we sure are popular today. So we are going to go. Let's go to Ken. I think Ken is calling us from Michigan. Not sure. I can't read this right. Hey, Ken, good morning.
Hello. Yes, I'm calling from Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Oh, you are from Michigan. Oh, boy.
Yes, I'm the person that bought the 2016 Prius that Toyota said you can't convert it to kilometers. And
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Earl went to executive management, and they said, buy a new Prius to replace your new Prius. But I thank you for trying. But
Cold-hearted people, aren't they?
They are. You have to deal with them. I don't. But since I'm a firefighter and paramedic and on the hazmat team, we just had a seminar about electric vehicle fires that decide to self-immolate while they're sitting in a garage. And so they were going through suppression techniques such as buying a fire blanket to cover the whole vehicle. So one question that I had was for Stu. Have you had a electric vehicle fire that you had to
Me personally?
move? Well, in the dealership?
In the dealership, we've had fires. I don't think we've had a EV battery combust ever. No, we recently had a fire, but it was on a regular ICE combustion engine car.
It wasn't that recent.
Huh?
It wasn't.
It wasn't that recent.
Okay.
It wasn't the
And it
popcorn
wasn't,
machine.
It was actually on a Prius, but
Okay.
it was
But the battery wasn't.
the gasoline
Yeah.
portion.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
So no,
it was the
we
engine
haven't.
compartment.
No, but I've seen just only thing I've ever seen of that was just in the media. Just
Yeah. Been a
it's,
while.
it's pretty sensational when it happens.
Well, there's a lot of information that your listenership can now get to,
Yeah.
such as Fire Safety Research Institute, part of UL, and they inform how to put out these type of fires.
Right.
Because if it's inside of a building, you want to get it out of the building because you can't just put them out and you'll have a barbecue. So that requires different techniques. But the fire blankets seem to be effective, and unfortunately, they're about $3,000.
Well, at a dealership, I think that's something. Most dealerships that have EV batteries there should definitely have that on hand, and that's something a dealership can afford generally. Individual for homeowners, that's kind of pricey.
Yeah.
Well, it is. I agree.
There is a company in California that does specialized training, mainly for first responders, on how to handle hybrid and especially the new electric cars with the much larger lithium batteries. Because remember, for a full electric car like a Tesla, the Toyota BZ, the Rivians, and that, those lithium batteries are 5 times the size of the battery used in a hybrid. So they're much, much larger. And one of the biggest issues they have with them is that once the fire starts, it's almost impossible to get any sort of suppression fluid or foam into where the fire is. So the recommended and accepted method now for handling that is simply to flood the thing with water and constantly try to cool it to remove the heat that then will obviously extinguish the fire.
I just found a fire blanket on Amazon, for $16.99.
Yeah, we have those
Yeah,
at
that
our
won't
house.
work.
That won't work on a hybrid battery. On a
It won't work on a.
no, it's for a home. We have them in our house.
Oh.
And my kids have them in their apartment in New York.
But yeah, it's
for a stove. And,
when electric cars are actually towed to a storage yard after an accident, the tow truck drivers are even told, do not put this near any other vehicles. You must have a safety gap around it, because a fire in an electric car can actually reignite up to 3 days later. And
it can ignite up to 2 weeks later. So
yeah,
we
in
have
a lot
to,
of cases,
follow
yeah.
it in our fire
it's like white phosphorus.
engine.
Yep.
Yeah,
They're very dangerous for that. So it is something for the first responders certainly have to be aware of.
Well, I don't want to. We don't want to debate this live on radio, but I pulled up again a fire blanket for electrical fire, and the highest price one I could find is $39.98. So
There's a difference between an electrical fire and the battery fire, that lithium-ion battery fire. Yeah, that would work for, like if your toaster, starts sparking and caught on fire.
Yeah, just look up fire safety for batteries in electric vehicles, and you'll find all the information you should need.
Gotcha.
But just wondering about what happened there. So, yeah, avoid those barbecues.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Yeah,
They're going to become more common. I mean, as the
Very.
yeah.
And if you're in an electric vehicle or in a collision with an electric vehicle, and you do have an accident, get out of the vehicle and move away from it to a safe distance.
Yep, and if those little cells are all over the road, which they typically are after an accident, you don't want to pick those up with your hands because it's like a firecracker.
I did find some that are way cheaper than $3,000 though. $1,400. These are EV carved fire blankets. I don't know if they're certified or I can't endorse them, but the ones so there's some, but they're over $1,000 easy. Yeah.
Correct.
Well, I got one right here for $500. So anyway, I'd price them out. Prices are coming down.
Yeah, definitely.
That's
All right.
interesting.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for the
Glad
call.
you're back.
Yeah.
Something's
Sure.
coming down. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have a whole lot of callers that we're going to get to. Let's see, we just talked to Ken. We're going to talk to Roadrunner Steve. Then we're going to get to Kenny, and we're going to get to Jake and all the other callers. So, guys, just be patient. 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530 and take advantage of youranonymousfeedback.com. Good morning, Roadrunner Steve.
Meep, meep.
Oh, thank goodness you're back. I got a life again.
You mean
I
you
was
did?
getting ready to put you on the milk carton. Or Silver Alert on the phone with that. Okay, you brought up that lady's fuel pump. Well, I had mine changed on the Roadrunner. It was a crappy one from China, so I went out and bought a Carter fuel pump made in America. One's a lot better with that. And we had, in my community, we had Cobra come in and talk about electric vehicles. And they said the main thing is, the number one thing is do not charge your electrical vehicle at night. So everybody's looking at him like, why is that? Because if it goes on fire, you're sleeping.
That's the best time to charge your EV.
Yeah, this is, we charge our electric vehicles, because the rates are less expensive at night. I think,
Is
Earl,
it outside or inside?
Earl, is that after midnight?
At midnight, that's when it goes on. Yeah.
So we get all these updates, and everything's a little less expensive.
But you're going to be ordering some fire blankets.
Well,
you need to.
Right. Yeah.
It's funny you mention that because on occasion there's been a few people who have taken a look at 2 electric vehicles in the garage, and they have said, "Wow, aren't you afraid the house is going to burn down?" And I've heard that like 3 times recently, and I think that's kind of a stretch.
I think it is, and
It's
honestly,
not the right conditions.
Without me going a long time, I go, yes, they can. I
Yes.
suspect in a lot of cases that there's a reason for it, and it's not that they just. I know it's possible they don't just spontaneously, like on scale, do that. if you didn't have a professional install this charger, or if there's something else going on, but you guys have professional installed superchargers, and
Yeah,
you guys
and now we have two
you're
of them.
good. Yeah, you're good. It's just something to think
Well,
about.
do you have
It is.
smoke detectors in the garage? At least
Yeah,
two?
they have. They're wired up with the proper protection.
Yeah, everything was put in professionally, and the electric vehicles don't stay on the supercharger, all the time. But I get your, point about evening, Rick.
Well, from Donovan, he says,
Oh, Donovan.
look up the stats. Your gasoline car is more likely to catch on fire while you're sleeping than your EV.
Yeah.
An EV is 66 times less likely to catch fire spontaneously than an internal combustion vehicle. And there have been multiple studies done by the insurance industry showing this is not as
Right.
big an issue
It's
as
not a
people
rampant
think.
thing. It's sensational because
It's just that when it happens,
It looks crazy.
In the very rare case, it makes all the headlines.
Yeah,
And when an internal combustion engine catches fire, everybody's like,
I've seen that my whole
"What?
life.
That
Big deal.
happened? When? Where?"
Yeah. The sparks are flying when an EV goes up. It's like fireworks.
Yeah.
Have catch fire with gas. There's more gas vehicles than electric vehicles.
But rates,
Right.
but rates are the same when you're looking at a percentage.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's more gas than electric. So the percentage is always going to be high.
Nope,
But
that's
the
not how it
other thing, The guy with the refrigerator, the guy
Mathematics.
with the refrigerator in his garage there. If you're going to unplug it, make sure you leave the door on the freezer and the refrigerator open so it
Oh,
don't.
jeez.
Yeah, I'm sorry to tell John. We looked that up too. There's your refrigerators do not produce enough ozone to damage components.
ozone.
In their
Life is sure complicated,
Walk
I
the
bet.
ozone again.
Yeah, don't think about so much
All
stuff.
right, I'm glad everybody's back. Everybody can have a good time now.
We're having a great time.
All
Thanks,
right,
Steve.
thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you so much, Roadrunner Steve. Let's go to Kenny. Kenny has been holding patiently, and he's calling from Boynton Beach. Good morning, Kenny.
Hey, good morning. It's Kenny Z.
Hey, Kenny Z.
Hey, welcome back.
Thank you. I got a couple of quick questions about. I'm looking to buy a new Volvo XC40, the SUV, and it's called a mild hybrid. It's got a small battery for something. I have no idea. And my question is it better to lease it or buy it? Now, let me mention, I have two cars, a 2019 Volkswagen Jetta and a 2013 Audi 4. I'm going to get the money from those. Should I trade them in at the dealer, or should I go to CarMax? Or I don't want to sell them by myself. So what are your suggestions as far as...
I think you're better off to lease it. The leasing program, at least as things stand now, there's a lot of talk with our new president about changing some of the rules. But currently, if you're going to buy an electric vehicle, you're better off to lease it than to buy it.
Or
this is only a mild
hybrid. I prefer them a little spicier, but
I'm not even sure what a mild hybrid is.
I don't know either. Or maybe, go ahead.
It's got a battery, small battery, not like you don't have to plug it in or anything.
Oh, okay.
But it's for,
I got you. It's a hybrid, so it's kind of like I get. It's just a hybrid. A leasing is a good way to go. Just don't. Well, I'm going to address your trades in a second, but
let me jump in there. I think I misspoke. I was thinking electric vehicle,
Right.
not hybrid. So
Right, yeah.
if you're gonna you want to drive an electric vehicle, you want to lease it, not buy it. But that doesn't apply to the hybrid.
Yeah. And so it really just depends on if they have a good lease program and you're comfortable with the payment. And just be aware of the pitfalls. If they're telling you a payment but requires a large down payment to get there, that doesn't make any sense. You don't get that money back. You don't build equity in a lease.
It's easy to trick a buyer. Car dealers make more money on the average when they lease a vehicle than when they sell it.
Yeah.
And if you're an educated consumer and you sound like you are, as long as you look at it in detail and are sure they're not slipping, it's high. It's easy to hide junk fees in a lease.
Yeah.
It's easier than it is to hide them in the
Best-
in a purchase car.
Best way to do is what Earl has preached all along is like get a out the door price as if you were purchasing it first, and use that when they calculate the lease. And then onto your trades, treat that as a separate matter altogether. Don't even mention it at first. Just get a price, their best possible out the door price, sale price on the Volvo, and then say I want to lease that. Use this as our starting point. And then after the fact, I have 2 cars I'd like your used car manager to take a look at. And you don't have the salesman driving off with it. Ask to speak to the used car manager. You'll come across as you kind of know what you're doing, and just get a buy figure from these guys. What would you write a check for it right now? And then you get that information. And say, all right, now apply this to the lease. That's. But hold on a second. Let me just. I'm sorry. Let me back up a little bit. Do not trade those in and give them. If you have equity, do not put that on the lease. I'm saying. You can sell it to them, and you choose to use some of those proceeds to maybe pay your first payment and tag or a small down payment. But just you're in control. If you get a sale price, that's independent of any lease calculation, and then purchase figures for your vehicles separate, and then you build the lease from there.
I got you. Okay, because I don't want to use that money for my trade-in.
No, if you just traded it in, and I don't know your situation but if you have equity in those trades, and you put all that, say you had, I'm just making this up, say you had $10,000 worth of equity between the 2 trades, and they put that in the lease, you just put a $10,000 down payment on the lease, you don't keep that, doesn't become part of your equity. That is now gone. They've used that to get you a nice low payment, but they're keeping that money. They're making a ton of money if you do that.
If they apply the trade-in to cash on a buy,
that's different.
The tax on the big number.
Yes.
It comes down. They only pay the tax on the smaller amount. Correct.
That is correct. And in addition to that, you're getting a loan on a smaller amount, so you're starting off with equity if you put the cash on a purchase. On a lease, it's just I don't know if you could see that, but it's
I wouldn't do it on the
away. Gone. Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate your show.
Oh, you're so welcome, Kenny.
You're welcome.
Let us know what you decided on and give us a call back. Here, our number. We are live. Just in case you tuned in, we're back. We're all here. The whole staff, everybody. Shall I name everyone?
Mostly.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Earl Stewart on Cars, and again, we want to thank you. Our number here is 877-960-9960, and you can also text us at 772-497-6530. We're going to go to Jake, who is calling us from Boca. Good morning, Jake.
Morning, guys. I, too, am so happy you guys are back.
Thanks.
Really, we missed
Thank
you. I'm so happy. So, the hybrid plug-in, they have it in different styles. I like the premium one, the higher end, and it only comes front-wheel drive. I went on their website. Isn't that weird that it's only front-wheel drive?
Which plug-in hybrid? You cut out right when you were saying the brand.
Oh, it was the Prius XSE premium model, and it looks like all of them are only front-wheel drive. Is that correct?
I don't know. Really, it's really kind of off our radar because in our region we get so few of them. So we get onesies, twosies. Most of the production is allocated to the states, California, that have the stricter emission standards, and maybe it has to do just with the you have an all-wheel drive, maybe up in the Northeast or somewhere a little bit. San Francisco and LA, maybe
weird.
You don't need it. But there's lots of I'm kidding. No, I don't think that's accurate because California is a very diverse state geographically. It's not all city and all sorts of weather, and there's mountain driving, and so I don't think. I was just joking around.
I would think so too.
It's an interesting question. Yeah, it's a really interesting question.
It also doesn't have hill hold.
Doesn't have what? Oh, the hill hold on the hill.
Well, hill start assist.
I thought that was weird too.
That would be weird in San Francisco. You
Yeah.
would need that.
And you know what really bothers me about the car's rating with the safety? The driver's side only got 4 stars, but the passenger got 5 stars. Well, why is that? Because there's a steering wheel there?
I don't know. Is that I don't think you typically see that like among vehicles. And all vehicles have steering wheels.
You know, it's amazing how things change from state to state, Jake. And your mention about the front wheel drive, I see here where Toyota Prius SE hybrid is a front wheel drive.
Yeah.
And this is a somewhat of a funny story. My grandson at the time was leaving Florida in his 4Runner. Of course, he doesn't have a front wheel drive, and he was headed to Colorado. And when he got there were, it was a guy thing, I guess. They were all teasing him that he better look into a front wheel drive because he's not going to get around very well. So, to my point about state to state and what Stu said about San Francisco.
Earl had looked it up, and it does have to do with fuel efficiency. So a front-wheel drive, all-wheel drive is going to kind of. So I guess in those states where, because Toyota, it feels like right now, Toyota is building Prius Primes, the plug-ins, for California. It's like its own little country over there. And I imagine it probably has to do with those requirements. And they have very strict emissions requirements and fuel efficiency standards. So by keeping it, not going to all-wheel drive, you're going to... Is it all-wheel drive we're talking about, the front wheel? All-wheel.
Yeah.
Front wheel?
Most Priuses are front-wheel drive.
Yeah, I'm
All-wheel
saying,
drive?
but the all-wheel drive on the plug-ins, that's just it's a fuel efficiency thing.
And of
It
course,
makes
all the
sense.
manufacturers are trying to reduce their total gas consumption in their fleets.
for CAFE, yeah.
So if you sell 10,000 cars and you can save a half a mile a gallon, that saves the manufacturer a lot of money in potential chargebacks from the government for exceeding the.
Yeah.
Huh. All right. Do you know if there's any incentives for that model, the Prius plug-in XSE Premium?
Well, there's still it's just federal tax credits. That's
That's it. Okay.
nothing from the
All right.
manufacturer.
Thank you, guys, and I'm so glad to hear you.
All
You
right.
guys
Thanks,
made
Jake.
my day. Thank you.
Love
That
your
makes
name.
us feel
Thanks.
great.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jake. Okay, I think we're going to take a break from the phones and
Go to the news.
we are going to go to Stu and Rick, and we're going to get to all the texts, YouTube, your anonymous feedback. So sit back and take it all in.
All right, I got a quick anonymous feedback. All right, we don't know who sent it. EVs may be cheaper to own and operate, but the extra 9,000 hours it takes to charge over the course of 5 years definitely makes it not worth it, unless you just don't value your time. If you broke down your salary into an hourly rate and factored that into your calculation, EVs are much more expensive. Well, you didn't think about the charging at night thing.
And I argue the fact that we waste 1/3 of our lives asleep all the time anyway.
Well, I'm
so
saying, most of the charging, if you have an EV, takes place at home. You come home from work and you plug it in and you make dinner and you do your thing. You go to bed and you wake up and it's charged. And only a few of us get paid for sleeping.
yeah.
Yeah, professional sleepers.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I haven't been into a gas station in 2 years.
Yeah.
And
Add that up.
And one of the things I hate most in life is standing in line or
Standing at the pump.
or trying to understand how to use a new pump that's got they change the dials around
Constantly.
How about the
Yeah,
smell
there's-
on your hands when you get done pumping after the person ahead of you spilled gas all
How
over
about the
place?
credit card skimmers that rip you off when you stick your credit card in the pump?
I miss those days. Frozen hands,
They really
frozen tongue.
They don't even know what a gas station is like again. But
Yeah.
you're
There's-
missing out on Slim Jims and sunflower seeds. That's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There's so many savings as far as driving electric. And, as recently with us being out of the studio, I've been a designated driver. And I'll tell you, I have really come to admire driving autonomously, and also the fact that I'm not in a gas station. The savings alone per year to take care of a vehicle, there's so many things you can factor in, and when it's all said and done, let me tell you, there's no other answer except, electric vehicle, whether you want to go hybrid electric, but we're moving in another direction, and we're moving fast. Let's talk about AI. I mean, there's so much going on as far as that's concerned. So I could go on, but we won't. We're going to go to Stu. We're running out of time. We got to get to the mystery shopping report, and we got to get to Rick. Stu.
Well, I won't get into it's a little too long, but just somebody who really doesn't like Arrigo, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge. They said they're the biggest price gougers, yada, 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 yada. They really upset somebody. And, of course, that's not owned by the Arrigo brothers anymore. It's owned by, who's that now?
Larry Morgan.
Larry Morgan. He owns everything.
And how about all those commercials, Stu?
Oh, I love the old commercials.
Are they creative?
My gosh. Rick says if you maintain your powertrain correctly, it will never fail. Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. I've had 3 transmissions fail, LOL. I had the maintenance done, but yeah, those long-term powertrain warranties for 2K is baloney. I'm sorry that you've had that much trouble with your Chrysler, sir. I'm guessing he didn't say what kind of car it was. I'm just making it up. It does depend on the manufacturer. Not every car is reliable as the other. So you should have qualified that on well-made cars.
Yeah.
A well-made car, you got to maintain it, and it'll serve a long time.
It was a Nissan CVT.
It was.
I'm just guessing.
Okay.
Nissan has had a very bad time of it in the last 8 or 10 years with their transaxles.
In case we do run out of time, you just woke me up with a Nissan comment. Nissan headline on Automotive News today is survival. Nissan is they aborted their engagement considerations with Honda because Honda wanted to take them on as a subsidiary. But they basically
so they're not doing
they're
it.
laying off thousands of people. They're cutting expenses, and the CEO of Nissan said, we're trying to survive. So if you're thinking about buying a Nissan, you might want to think twice. You don't want a collector's item.
No.
And that's what's going to happen.
Have they decided on the merger, or is it a no-go?
It's off.
No-go?
Honda got cold feet. I was wondering when the first rumor came up about Honda and Nissan, I'm saying to myself, why would one of the best manufacturers in the world want to affiliate themselves with one of the worst, which is Nissan? And sure enough, I think Honda backed out. They basically said, look, we don't want to merge, but we will buy you as a subsidiary. But that was apparently not the financial benefit that Nissan needed. And when you admit publicly that you're trying to survive, that's not
good.
It's a red flag. Yeah.
There goes your stock.
Yeah.
So they're good. They're in the game, and they're surviving without the merger.
They're trying to survive.
With that screeching sound you hear, or their fingernails on the slippery slope of decline.
I think what's his name, Makoto, the CEO.
For Nissan.
Yeah.
Is he the guy that replaced Goshen or Goshen?
Yeah, I'm not good at Japanese.
We have a caller?
We have. I'm going to go back to the event. Jonathan, is that have you shut down or let through?
We have about 6 more minutes.
Okay, great. We're gonna go back to the phones. I notice here where we have Tricia, and Tricia has been a regular caller. She calls us from Boca. Good morning, Tricia.
Hey, Tricia, are you there?
Are you still there?
Yes. I am here, and I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you.
Because I'm telling you, okay, the first 2 weeks in January, I thought, okay, they're taking a vacation, a nice 2-week vacation. And then when it went to 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, I'm going, wow, something's wrong here. No one takes that long a vacation.
Right.
But I'm telling you, I was sincerely worried about you guys, so much so that I called your dealership to see how everyone was.
Oh,
how nice.
I was so concerned about your welfare.
Thank you.
Thank you
I
so
don't
much,
have
Tricia.
You're very welcome. That's how concerned I was. I don't have any questions today. I just wanted to tell you how concerned I was and how so glad you're back and healthy and doing your awesome show.
Thank you. And I have to say, Nurse Nancy is the one should take all credit because she's the one that, better than the doctors, has me back in operating condition again. So thanks for your comments and your concern.
Yeah, Tricia, it was
Means a lot.
so telling. It set us back on our heels, the response that, we received. Like I said earlier when we started the show, it was just amazing. The popularity was just, it brought a tear to our eyes, actually, because we heard from so many of our callers and some people that were just coming into the dealership. But, we have a way to go, and but we're much better off. Earl is much better off today than he was, and this last year has been, I didn't think that we would be in this position, and it is a good position, and it feels good. Like I said, we have a lot of work to get to finish out our journey with this illness, and we're ready. We're strong. But we're going to be in the studio from now on, and you can expect us to be here just yakking away.
Well, I don't know what was going on. I don't know if you want to share, if that's too private, but whatever it is, I'm just glad you're better.
Well, take a look at Earl's statement that he made to the audience. You can read that. He went to great lengths to put that piece together, and it was quite touching. Thank you, Tricia.
Okay, I will do that. You're
All
very
right.
welcome.
And give us a call again. Thank you for listening.
Sure, always. Thank you.
Okay, let's get back to which one of you want to go first, Rick or Stu? Are you finished?
Turn over to Rick, yeah.
Okay, go,
Because
Rick.
he's got the text line over there, so he can get on that.
Okay.
Well, I have the very
got
great
something from
honor,
Donovan?
actually, of reading Anne Marie's text.
Oh, okay. Hi,
Welcoming us
Anne-Marie.
back. She says, "Good morning. Welcome back. I was worried about you. So glad to hear your voice again and see you on YouTube." She says, "I'll start with an easy question this week. What is the difference between a moonroof and a sunroof? Thanks."
Sunroof, you don't see them too often anymore, are opaque. It's just the metal top of the car. You can't see through it. And then at some point, I'm going to guess in the 80s, somebody said, hey, let's make these out of glass. And I don't know. So now you can see the moon, but I don't get it. It's nice because you can open it at night. But the difference is a moonroof is glass, a sunroof is a solid material, usually steel.
And I think that was just somebody's arbitrary decision of how to
call it,
what to
market it.
describe the sliding roof and whether it was see-through or not.
Sunroofs were, everybody knows what a sunroof was, and then you come around, well, this is a little bit different. We got to market this. Let's call it a moonroof.
Yeah.
There you go.
How much maintenance have there been paid to as far as leaks with the
right?
It was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I thought it was so important to me when I moved to Florida that I had a sunroof or a moonroof or whatever. All I had was problems.
You know what? That's a really good point because we can turn this into an advice thing. I don't think it's that common anymore, but I think they're still out there. Aftermarket companies that will give you a sunroof if you don't have one or a moonroof. Don't do it for exactly what Nancy just said, because they're gonna leak and you're gonna get corrosion, and it's always a problem. The factory, they've kind of dialed those down. You get most cars, or at least the higher trim levels, will have a moonroof, and they're very reliable and they're fine.
Well, here's the fact a lot of folks aren't really aware of. Even the factory ones, especially the factory ones, they leak. Water comes in past that seal when it rains, when it's just
runoff,
water sitting there.
There's channels,
but there are drains, rubber hoses installed on the frame of that sliding roof assembly that direct that water down and let it drip out through the bottom of the car.
Right.
Now, the problem is if you park your car underneath trees or an area where leaves or stuff can work in, that debris will work its way in. So every so often, you'll want to go to a shop, basically, and have them clear out those drains. And it's a simple thing that we do, but it does require an air compressor, basically, with some good power to it. We take an air gun that basically just it shoots a lot of air through it. We open the sunroof, stick that air gun in where the drain is, and just blast the air through it. So that way, any debris that's in that tube, or if any insects have crawled up through the bottom of the tube, it blasts them right out, clears out those drains, and now they flow properly.
You don't have the problems.
And you don't have the water spilling into your car anymore.
I didn't know that.
Is there any?
Yeah,
Is there any more attention paid to the high-end vehicles that have the panoramic?
A lot more. Especially now, cars that have a solid glass. The entire roof is actually glass.
Yeah, like the Teslas.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's a lot more design that goes into that, the engineering, and they are sealed so much better. But also they have to work in the idea of what happens in a collision. Is that roof going to be safe in a collision?
Right. It's going to keep you in the car. Yeah.
They are a tempered glass, but they're also sealed with laminate. So it's kind of like the windshield. How when a windshield breaks, it doesn't just explode in pieces all over you. It all stays together because it's glued together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, the safety factors are there, but also the maintenance factors and like sunroof drains and that. It's all designed to work together. But that's why you don't want to have an aftermarket installed sliding roof. You want the factory system because the car is actually designed
Built around it, yeah.
so that system will work with the whole car.
Yeah. Considering you've been in the industry for a long time, would you say it was in general just to stay away from, the moonroof?
I prefer to avoid them myself because it is one more thing that allows leakage and allows corrosion.
Yeah. And we have
because
so much
I'm the sort
dampness.
that I keep a vehicle until the wheels just about fall off.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm driving a 12-year-old pickup right now.
But
I mean,
he also has very sensitive eyes and skin. I prefer the moonroof. I know you don't like them, but I like it. I drive around with it open all the time.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it whenever I had
I
it. Your dad, not so much. He wasn't real happy with it, but I like that freedom.
We're free spirits.
Exactly.
Right.
It wasn't a convertible like we used to have when he drove the Lexus sports car. That was really neat.
That was fun.
When I first moved here,
SC400. You had an SC400 about 20 years ago.
Very difficult to get in and out of for him, but for me, being small. But many years ago, when I first moved here, I had the moonroof thing, the convertible thing. I'm from the Northeast. I wanted the sun, which we know you can't spend a lot of time in because it's not good for you. This is bad, that's bad, whatever. Okay, we're going to continue. Let's change the subject. What do you got for us, Rick?
all righty. We will go again to the text messages here. And we have one question here that came in anonymous. And he says, have you ever heard of lug nuts needing to be replaced? Is it common?
Mm-hmm. Oh, sure.
Well, here's the thing, folks. Most auto manufacturers, now that oil changes have become 7,500 miles, 10,000 miles, 15,000 miles, tire rotations are generally still recommended about every 5,000 miles. And basically, it's the front tires go to the rear tires go to the front. And this helps the tires to wear evenly so you get the best life out of all four tires. The problem is those lug nuts are being taken on and off of the car every single time. The technician is using an impact gun normally. We used to use the air-powered ones. Now they've all switched to these little battery electronic guns, the electric ones. They're much quieter. They're much better. They got just as much power. The lugs are torqued, of course, after the wheel's reinstalled. But those nuts are taken on and off of those lug studs over and over and over through the life of the car. So if you keep a car for 5 years or so and then you trade out of it, you're not going to worry too much about it. But when you're someone that keeps their car for 10, 12, 15 years, eventually they're going to wear out. And so, yeah, those lug nuts are eventually going to get to where they just need to be replaced. Sometimes the lug studs will break. And here in South Florida, again, with the corrosion we get, you'll get some rust in there, and it may seize up and damage the threads. So, yeah, that is something to be aware of. Now, the nice part is that most lug nuts are a solid piece. It's a solid metal piece. However, Honda and Ford and Toyota and quite a few others did this stupid thing a while back where they made a lug nut with a thin metal casing on it so it would be shiny chrome-like pretty. The problem is that casing, as it's built, it's just simply a thin skin added on that nut, would eventually begin to loosen and it would swell up. Suddenly, your tire iron that you might need if you have to take the tire off in an emergency, a flat tire, won't fit those lug nuts anymore. And so the mechanics will generally recommend, as we see those lug nuts starting to swell up, that shield is starting to increase in size, they'll recommend, hey, it's time for new lug nuts. So if that's recommended, yeah, it's a bit pricey because you're looking at $7 to $8, maybe $10 per lug nut, and 20 to 24 lug nuts per car. That can get pricey.
Yeah, so
but it's worthwhile to do it. Trust me.
And you're talking about the two-piece
Yeah.
lug nuts that
If
they
they're
decided
a covered
to use.
lug nut, yep.
Yeah, that has created, all the problems. Okay,
Yep.
and didn't you say that was, did you say that was Jeep and Ford? And
Honda actually had a class action lawsuit about it, but Ford also did the same thing. Matter of fact, I think every manufacturer went to those for a while, and at Toyota, we saw a lot of those. And it got to where our parts department kept plenty of lug nuts in stock, and every so often we'd have to go to the service writer and say, hey, look, this car needs 20 new lug nuts.
Oh, boy.
We need to replace them all.
Wow, interesting. Okay, do we have anything else? Rick, we're getting close to the mystery shopper report.
I think it's time for the mystery shop.
And
I was so fascinated with lug nuts, I thought maybe we would just...
I bet you didn't know that I knew they were
I'm
two-piece.
not saying it was boring. It wasn't boring, but it's type of thing, if I could listen to the playback tonight when I go to bed, relax, and it would help me. It's like listening to a bedtime story. Interesting, but soothing.
I'll call you tonight and read lug nut stories.
I'll put you on speakerphone, and when you hear me snoring, just hang up. Right, okay.
Will they be the two-piece lug nuts? Okay, enough fun. We are going to get to the mystery shopping report, and that mystery shopping report comes to us from Treasure Coast Toyota. It is quite interesting.
It's a repeat, and in total transparency.
Well, no, we've never read it out. This has never been read to the public.
Oh, it hasn't?
So we've had Agent Lightning. I almost outed her. Agent Lightning has. We have, I think, 3 or 4 backlogged mystery shops that we're getting to. So this actually occurred about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, great. I didn't seem familiar when I read it.
No, we've never read it. It was chilly that day. Apparently, it's referenced in the reports.
Well, Treasure Coast Toyota, for folks not familiar with Florida, is
excuse me a
southeast.
moment, Mr. Recovering Car Dealer. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, we are live. Earl is getting ready for the mystery shopping report, and it is very important that we hear from you at 772-497-6530. That's where you can vote on the mystery shopping report. Why? Because your vote counts, and you're very important to us. We want some feedback. We want to know we're doing things right.
We're live on February 22nd.
Exactly. We're live on February 22nd. I can't say
2025.
that enough.
And we take all these mystery shopping reports, we post them on Earl on Cars, www.earloncars.com. We have recommended dealers, and do not buy from this dealer list, and you should choose one from the recommended list.
Yeah.
So you will vote, and this will be on one list or the other.
Yeah, so go ahead and vote at 772-497-6530. Now back to the wonderful Recovering Car Dealer. I waited 2 months to say that.
Yeah,
I've recovered car dealer.
and
You're amazing.
I recovered twice.
You're amazing.
Yeah.
You're a miracle child.
Okay, speaking in the first person as if I were Agent Lightning, I arrived at Treasure Coast Toyota. That's in Stuart, Florida. It's about, it's still in the southeast part of Florida, and it's on the East Coast. It used to be called Stuart Toyota, but there was a conflict and understanding between Earl Stewart Toyota and Stewart Toyota. They
Big
changed
miss.
their name to Treasure Coast Toyota. So I arrived at Treasure Coast Toyota during lunch, was surprised to see a young salesman named Dylan standing out front in the chilly 50-degree weather. Do you have an appointment today? Dylan asked. No, I replied. I was just in the area for a doctor's appointment. Wanted to see if you have any new RAV4 hybrids in stock. As a matter of fact, we do, right over here, he said, leading me over to check out one on the showroom floor. There was not a Monroney label in the window. Surprise, surprise, surprise. And I'm saying that to you new listeners in South Florida. In fact, for most of Florida, they don't respect the federal law that says the Monroney label, the window sticker, must remain affixed to the window and can only be removed when the car is sold by the buyer. Well, there's not 1 out of 10 dealers that sell cars in South Florida that respects this federal law. We've been talking about that for a long time, and so far, nobody's done anything about it. So Dylan offered to print one out, meaning the Monroney label. I opened the door, sat in the driver's seat, reached over to the glove box where I found the label rather wrinkled, and they tore it off and
if you look,
wadded it up and threw it in the glove compartment.
if you zoom in on that picture a little bit, you can see there's a
Yeah.
big boot print right in the middle of it. So that was sitting on the floor of the
Yeah.
of the car that somebody came in there and put their big dirty boot on it.
Yeah, you're a detective. You're exactly right.
As a matter of fact, those are North Face Evo hikers. I'm just kidding.
Okay. Would you like me to get the keys? Dylan asked. He left for a few minutes, returned with a key fob on a plastic stick. I started the vehicle and he went over several features before I mentioned that I currently drive a 2023 model. Dylan pointed out that the RAV4 has heated and cooled seats as well as a wireless phone charger, which mine may not have. I agreed, and then he asked, how soon are you looking to buy? Very soon, within the next couple of days, as long as the price isn't marked up, I said. He assured me, no, we don't do that. And you know the sneaky part about that is that he's so sneaky that not only did he mislead you because they mark up their prices with junk fees and claim that they don't mark their prices up at all. So it's a double whammy for you. They're trying to deceive you in two different ways. I didn't have, because all the dealers in the market do that down here. I didn't ask about the e-price. They advertise online. Online price, e-price. He explained, I believe you'll need to enter your information for that. So we headed inside to his desk to go over the pricing. There, I was greeted by another person who introduced himself as Richard, the sales manager for 24 years. Dylan asked where I live. Jupiter, I replied. Oh, we do too, he said. We discovered we're practically neighbors. Dylan is Richard's son. That's very interesting. Father, son, working at the same dealership. That's kind of warm and fuzzy. I like that. I asked Richard about the online price, and he replied, the Smart Path price is generally $500 above invoice, but you'll need to enter your info. I did, and this is what appeared. Now, I digress just a bit here because the statement, $500 above invoice, means nothing. It's meant to convey to you and any potential buyer that, oh, that's only $500 over their cost.
I'm hovering right around,
Yeah, I mean, this lawnmower, this TV set, this car, costs me only this much money, and I'm going to sell you this car for $500 more than I had to pay.
Yeah, I'm going to sell you this $45,000 car.
Exactly.
And all I'm making is $500.
Yeah. So, but our regular listeners all know that the invoice on a car actually packs in a lot of profit, depending on the total price of the car. You can have an invoice that includes a $3,000 or $4,000 profit, or a $5,000 or $6,000 profit.
And
the average is around.
Yeah, in this case, they're probably another $1,600 to $1,800 there.
Yeah. So, but it's to me, it's a conspiracy between the manufacturers and the dealers. And I'm telling you, any of you lawyers out there looking for a really big, fat, juicy lawsuit, class action, file a class action against car dealers and manufacturers because they are conspiring to artificially inflate the perceived cost of their products to take advantage of the buyer. I mean, it's a ready to roll class action suit worth, should I say, billions?
Yeah, if you
billions,
if you found a dealer, clearly,
yeah,
because it goes back to the beginning of time too.
Yeah.
If you had a nice dealer who actually print out one of the invoices that they're talking about,
yeah.
the Toyota is probably better than most. Look at the bottom. He'll circle the invoice price, but there's a paragraph right at the bottom, and it lists those extra holdbacks and things that come back to the dealer. And you can add them up right there, and that's the profit.
Yeah,
most of it.
Invoice is not cost. Remember that simple thing. Invoice is not dealer cost. I asked, could you show me the total price with fees and taxes included? Absolutely, he said. Give me just a few minutes. Both Richard and Dillard, father and son, stepped away, and a short while later, Dillard returned to ask if I knew my credit score. It's in the mid-700s, I replied. Perfect, he said. A few minutes later, he brought back these numbers, and that included the junk fees and the not junk fees. And the sale price was the same as the Smart Path price, $43,189. They added a junk fee of $898.50, and the junk fee has various names. If you're a regular listener, they go by any name the dealer chooses. Yeah. They come up with electronic filing fee, administrative fee. They got anything they want to say, they can call it because that's the Florida law.
In this case, they're calling it dealer doc.
Dealer doc, yeah.
Like Doc. Doc Holiday.
Yeah, Donald Duck. And
Doc Holiday.
Dealer Doc.
Dealer Duck. That's a duck fee.
$898.50. And then they have $873.94 in non-tax fees, and that's the acid test for a legitimate government fee because you don't tax a tax fee. So non-tax fees would be your sales tax, Florida sales tax in this case. It'd also be your tag and registration. So they inflated that. Stu wrote this up and feels it's probably inflated, and that's double devious to me because they have not even disclosed the junk fees. They don't do it until they get into the F&I office, finance and insurance. They call it the business office, and then it pops these illegitimate fees out on reams and reams of paper being spit out of the computer as they say, sign this, sign this, sign this, and they just slips right by the buyer.
I hope their computer system fixes this because they're either on this non-tax fee line, they're either screwing the state by not collecting sales tax on these things, or they're screwing. Well, they're screwing the customer for sure, and then it's questionable. They also might be screwing the state of Florida if they don't have it fixed in their system.
Yeah, car dealers are huge payers of sales tax. I mean, think about it. The average new car now is around $50,000. So you look at the 6%, and then the 0.5% local sometimes. Yeah. So it's a huge, huge benefit to the state, and they go out regularly and audit car dealers because they're infamous for not paying sales tax on everything.
There's a long period of time where the state of Florida made more money in sales tax than we did on our selling our cars.
They do list the sales tax on here also as $2,712.
So you can easily do the calculation. What they, you back into it, and what they apply the rate to.
So I thank the father-son team for their help and being upfront. I told them I would discuss this with my husband and get back to them. And the next day I got this text, which says, good morning, Amy.
Nothing. I bleeped out what you just said. Good morning, Agent Lighting.
I almost betrayed Agent Lightning's true identity. We fear for her safety. This is Richard from Toyota. Dylan's dad, the manager. I was just wondering if you had a chance to speak to your husband about the RAV4. We have an employee looking at it. Ho, ho, ho. But obviously clients come first.
A little pressure.
Typical follow-up. Typical follow-up.
It's not pressure. It's a little push.
Yeah, it's good salesmanship. That's you stay on top of the customer until they buy or die.
Or die. That is what they say.
That's
Call them till they buy or die.
Stu's laughing, but that is a common phrase. Every car dealer's heard it. When the salesman comes to work, maybe if he's new especially, you say, listen, you keep calling that customer until he either buys or he dies. And that's the reason you get harassed. You mean, I forgot I was in there 10 years ago. You still calling me?
Right. Just see where you're at, what your thoughts were right now.
And beware when the phone calls stop, because there was a time when we would tell our audience, I think they locked the prospective customers in the showroom. That happened north of us.
Well, they throw the keys on the roof.
Sometimes they throw the customers on the roof. They used to throw the customers up there. All right.
Okay, we got to vote.
Okay.
We got to vote. A, B, C, D, or F.
772-497-6530.
And Rick
Put
can
your
check
votes in.
he can check all the sources because they're coming into him. So say hi to Rick when you send your vote. So I'll just give you mine. Nancy, don't throw anything at me, but they're getting a C+ from me. And the reason for that is everything they did was textbook South Florida car dealing. It's just what everybody does.
Yeah.
But not quite as bad. I think they get a little nudge. I hate giving them a C+, but nothing shocked me there. I didn't like I think that thing with the non-tax fees, it works to their advantage, but I think it's a computer screw up. It's a line on their. When you get those proposals, they come out of their CRM, their customer management program, or desking tool, and so and it will get fixed in the finance office, and they'll go to the proper lines, and it works to their advantage because it looks like it's official thing, so it helps them with the junk fee thing. But so I don't like that, but they're no worse than anybody else.
Yeah.
We've, I think the word have become complacent.
Right, you're right. Okay, just a C then. I'll take off the plus. No, I feel
you're just trying to.
I feel your disdain, and I want to it's a C. It's just a C.
I promise you I'm not going to throw anything. I think that the recovering car dealer has taught me, if anything, it's going on. And if we, give all the car dealers, an F, we've no place to buy a car.
Where are you going to buy a car?
Yeah. So, anyway. Okay, 772-497-6530. Rick, what do you have for us?
Well, first we have Bob in Maryland says, a boot print on the Monroney label says, give the boot to Toyota, Treasure Coast Toyota. It's an F.
And a boot to the neck of Senator Monroney.
They didn't like that one much. Jonathan in Palm Coast says, welcome back. You were sorely missed.
Aww.
And hi, Rick. Oh, hey, Jonathan. How's it going, buddy? I'll give this dealership a C. Any dealer that's not up front with all their fees deserves this grade. Surprises in the box will never get a great grade from me. Nope. Over here on YouTube, we've got Johnny C. Fradley saying C for me. Brian Sedlatko says, I also give him a C. Joseph Kelleher, D. Kim appreciates life, D. And let's see, checking the other channel, we have Scott Mellamerson says, Earl's voice is strong. So thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Tom Steckel says, C-, junk fees and inflating the tax tag and title. No addendums. So happy Earl is back and healthy. A for Earl. All right.
All right.
Scott H. Sr. says, C, typical fees, but thankfully no addendum. Tim Gilliland says, not the worst, C-. Cram 1624 says, F, tax, and tax on the Monroney label. George Petrillo says, C-. They should have itemized and stated the tax tag and title fees. For Florida, that's about $400. Mark H. says, C, typical South Florida. Tip, get a Google phone number and use that to go to Shop Cars. Deactivate after you buy a car. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
And let's see, we've got Frank from Jupiter Farm says, interesting shopping report. Typical dealership tricks, C-. See if we got anybody else coming in. And looks like that's it for right now. Myself, I agree with Stu. I'm going to say C. I think they're middle of the road average. They're not really getting super crazy with the games, but they're playing a few of the old tricks.
Yeah.
So a C.
Yeah, and I just want to jump in one thing. It's nice having there's a folksy thing that was very friendly with the with the father son, and it's a and it's a family owned dealership still, so they still have some of that appeal. I'm glad to see that they're channeling it in a positive way. In the past, they've done some terrible stuff.
Well,
up there.
it's family owned in the sense that
right, it's not owned by
Dick Smith is still an investor.
Yeah,
and then what's his name?
Sandy. Then Sandy, he's like
no, Sandy. This is Treasure Coast Toyota.
Yeah.
Does Sandy own the Toyota and the Lexus?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize
Sandy
that.
Woods?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
So I mean, not like he's not necessarily strolling around the store with a cup of coffee, shaking hands, but it's not owned by a public corporation.
Yeah.
And that has an advantage. They kind of went that very corporate way a while back, but they keep changing directions. Zigzag Toyota. All right.
No, I think Sandy's wife, our daughter, owns it.
Right, she runs it.
Sandy's
She's
daughter,
I'm sure she has a part of ownership. All right, we have 3 minutes.
Okay, we got 3 minutes left. Do you want to vote?
I think C. I was very pleased with the voting. C is the number. It's an average South Florida car dealership. It's perfect. That's a perfect grade. I think you can't give them anything better than that or worse. So if you're in that area, it's an average car dealer.
And what was it? C?
C.
Okay. Well, I guess I guess I have to be a little gentler, I'll call it, with my grades, considering that we're in for one, I'll use the cliche I use, hell of a ride. The auto industry is about to change in a lot of different ways. And, although this mystery shopping report turns me in an opposite direction, I'm going to give them a D, well, that's it, a D. I don't need to give you the details of why
we know what rubs you the wrong way, and it's a lot of stuff that we read in the report. It's hard not to do a
it
worse
really
grade.
is. Yeah. It really is. It's real hard for me to sit here and say, hey, listen. They're doing it, so it's okay if the guy down the street's doing it.
That's a valid point.
So it's very disturbing, and I'm really hoping that the environment in the auto industry gets a whole lot better. But we're here to guide you.
It's important that you say that, though. I mean, because we don't want people to think, especially new listeners, if we grade a C. And they go, oh, that's not so bad. But everything comes with a caveat. And I remember, we might have official C, but there was definitely a D feeling here.
Yeah, exactly. So there we have it. There's the mystery shopping report. And Earl, would you like to get to anything as far as Carvana that we discussed this morning?
Or? Yeah, I'll just say this. Carvana is a good place to get a price on your used car. They came close to bankruptcy. They made a miraculous recovery. They're honest people. If you're looking to buy a used car or you're looking to sell your used car, check Carvana. They're a legitimate outfit.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I'm sure everyone has heard about President Donald Trump initiating actions, to dismantle the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And we'll have more information for you next week on that and so many other things that are changing in this industry.
It might get dicey out there.
I want to thank everyone for tuning in. We can't be more thankful. Earl and I are very, very thankful. And we're very blessed, and we're blessed by you. and the fact that you tune in every single Saturday to Earl Stewart on Cars. Stay tuned next week, same time, 8 a.m., right here on the Oldies Channel.